My loves, bibs. I am here. I'm Krystine, your host of the BeautyPro podcast, and I am here with the fabulous Jen LeBlanc of 124 Go, of the Marketing Lab, of all the things. If you haven't been combing Instagram with a fine tooth comb, she's going to be talking to us today about quite a bit. So, Jen, introduce yourself, please. I introed, but talk about yourself.
Pleasure to meet you. My name is Jen LeBlanc. I am a coach and consultant with 124 Go Salon and Spa Business Academy. And I am the COO of Salon Roots and Salon Studios here in Medina, Ohio. And I've been in the beauty space 18 years this past May. So wicked awesome.
OMG. Okay,
Yeah.
and you're in Ohio. I love that
In
you say
Ohio.
wicked.
Yeah.
I love that you say wicked. Awesome. Are you a family from like New England or something? Or
No, John, the co-founder of 124 Go is. So I guess it just comes with like osmosis. You just start speaking
Yeah.
like him. So
Yeah. I love it.
yeah, he's from the Boston area, so we all absorb all of his accents and all of his adjectives, and wicked is one of them. So
I love it.
there we go. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so tell everybody what 124 Go is. Like tell us all, and like how did you even get in the industry? I think that's an interesting story.
It's an awesome story. So I'll start there. I was a client of the now partner in Salon Roots about, I don't know, this was 20 years ago. And she was an artist at John Roberts. And I don't know if you've heard of John Roberts, but John DeJulius, so the Customer Service Revolution, he's an author. He owns a chain of salons up here in the Cleveland area. She was an artist. I typed in, I was looking for somebody new. I was all of like 23 years old. This is when like the internet was just the internet. Like this is like dinosaur times, right? Best hairstylist, Northeast Ohio. Jen's name popped up, but actually it said Ray Pavlovich. And I was like, I mean, okay. RAE, being ignorant. I'm like, must be a guy. All right, let's go, right? Like, had no idea, okay?
Sure, let's go.
Fast forward, she was awesome. And over the years, over that 2.5 years while she was working at John Roberts, we became friends. Like, it turned out we lived pretty close to each other. My now husband and her husband would hang out, and we formed a friendship. And about 2.5 years in, and she had been at John Roberts several years, she was like, hey, I think that Sheila and her now partner are going to open a salon. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. She's like, can you help us? And at the time I owned a marketing company, just self-employed, small marketing, did marketing for a bunch of different variety of businesses in like the Northeast Ohio area. And we started off by bartering, and this is times where like, think service menus, think business cards, think like trifolds, think things to take to the schools, right? I mean, this is going back almost 20 years. So think about the transition of marketing then. We made a website, the generic like WordPress websites that were all of like, would look so archaic now. You're like, that was real life. And it was considered awesome. You know what I mean? Like that was
yes, I remember.
Yeah. So I slowly started to do more for them. Okay. And I loved the beauty industry. Like, I worked with landscapers. I worked with manufacturing companies. I worked with a gym. There was something about beauty, and I freaking loved it. And I think a lot of it had to do with the environment that they created. It's like Disneyland, right? You come in feeling one way, you leave feeling, amazing afterwards. Everyone's so happy. Like, I always say nothing beats a hair salon during the holidays. Like, nothing beats the vibe of beauty during Christmas from like Black Friday through Christmas. I mean, I still work 18 years later. I still work Black Friday, Small Business Saturday for them because I love it. And I don't have to work those days, right? I work it because it's fun. You know what I mean? Like, I like hearing the people's stories. And even through like that COVID time when people weren't shopping as much, we would still have a line outside our door because we had our devout followers that they knew, that Black Friday was our thing. So fast forward, I was bartering with them for like 3 years ish. And one of the meetings, we were meeting once a month. I was like, all right, you guys, I want to know anything and everything about beauty. And they handed me a stack of magazines, probably 12, 13 editions of Salon Today. Okay. They were like, here you go. read, knock your socks off. And I was like, I mean, okay. I read them all cover to cover. And one of the issues, there was an advertisement for the Salon Today 200. And now they were only in business 3.5 years at the time. And I take it to the meeting and I'm like, hey, we're applying for this. They're like, excuse me, I'm going to swear for a second. The fuck we are. And I was like, no, we are. They're like, no, we're not. I was like, no, we are. You got like the growth, like we were tracking, and they're like, we are not that good. They're like, that is not us. Like we would never make it. Right. And I was like, no, I think we are. And they're like, I mean, go for it. We won't be hurt when we don't make it. Okay.
Right.
Apply. And that's when like you had, I don't know if you're familiar with the Salon Today 200, but you had to like print the application. It had to go in a binder. You had to print your pictures in to send in. Like nothing was digitized at that time.
Right.
Well, we make it. Okay.
Whoa.
And so they're like, wait a second, what? And I'm like, now I'm hooked. Like I'm in it now. Like I'm like, I want to do this all the time. We took a ton of us to New Orleans for the Salon Today 200 reception and red carpet. And that's when they were combined with Serious Business. And I was like, holy shit, I have to come back here all the time. Like these are my people. Like it became like crack for me.
Yes. Okay. I love how that.
Shortly after that, I became a full-time employee of theirs. And so the role slowly transitioned. We were actually on the cover of Salon Today magazine, I think it was 8 years ago, because they had created a role for myself that now they're mainstream. Now everyone has a director of marketing type role that does all those things. 8 years ago, that was like, what? Like, how are you guys doing that? Et cetera, how are you affording that? All those things. We were on the cover of Salon Today because we were killing it. They were having growth like 33 to 45% year over year, like exponential growth.
That's awesome.
We were the first in our area on Facebook. We were the first in our area on Insta, you know what I mean? And so we were like we were first to market with a lot of things because they didn't have to do it. I did. And there's still artists behind the chair that still thoroughly enjoy doing hair. Okay.
So then your foundation, like for you, Jen LeBlanc, your career has been marketing?
And that's the start of it. That's where it started. That's the start. That is not as much as my role today, but that's how I got into beauty. Was via marketing.
Through the marketing part, because you were saying that you worked with so many different industries, so you were marketing PR or like just
think all inclusive, think print collateral, think websites, think we would do press releases and things like that, but basically bringing a sales initiative to companies that didn't have one, so I spent a lot of time in web creation at that time when WordPress was, the thing to use and things like that. I spent a lot of time in WordPress. Still, I still know enough to be dangerous in WordPress. I don't love it like I did because
can't stand WordPress.
Yeah,
I was trained with WordPress. I can't stand it. I like all the other ones.
And I'm self-taught. I'm self-taught in all of that as well.
Yeah.
So basically, for a while it was, figure it out until you couldn't figure it out anymore. And I'm married to an IT guy, so that helped, some of the learning curves for some of that as well, right?
Yeah.
But I basically was working with Roots for 12 years-ish. And my role grew. I was running the front. I did the marketing. I took on a lot of leadership roles then within the company.
Sure.
And from there, I started looking for more. And they were like, well, this is it. And I was like, oh, I want more. And I'm like, what else is there in beauty? Not from a monetary standpoint, but from a, okay, we're wicked successful now. What else can I do? Does that make sense? Like I'm in the beauty space now.
Right.
And we're like, and this is again at the dinosaur ages of this. They're like, you could become a coach. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I was an athlete.
You're like, great. What is that? Yeah.
Okay. But what does that look like? And I'll leave the brand names out of it, but I went down the education trek with a main brand business education to fulfill step one. And I went through the entire process. I graduated, all for them to say, wow, you're wicked awesome. You're not behind the chair. You can't coach. can't coach beauty professionals. You've never been behind the chair. That was year one. It's like, wow, that sucks. Okay, like I'm gonna do this again.
Right.
Went through another brand we were carrying. Went through that whole process. Went to Cincinnati a bunch of times. Like did the whole thing. They were like, oh, we didn't know you weren't behind the chair. I'm like,
yeah.
No. Okay, so I reach out to Stacy Sobel, who is still the editor-in-chief of Salon Today magazine, and I was like, what can I do? Like, what can I do to share my knowledge, to share our success? And she's like, I will give you any and all pro bono speaking opportunities at any of our events where you're a fit. And so for 5.5 years, I did all of those events on my own money, on my own time, and basically I spoke at Serious Business, classroom, not main stage, and all the data-driven events. Was on a tremendous amount of podcasts with Stacy and the Salon Today team. And basically I was writing for the magazine, I was writing blogs, and I was just trying to share. And she just kept saying, if you are good, people will listen. And I still have that like written in my notebook. Like I replay that in my head a lot. I kept the email she wrote me. And she was like, if you are good, people will listen. So then I go back down the education path with 2 brands. And I'm like, well, maybe they've changed, right? Like maybe it's changed. This is like 4 or 5 years in. Nope, still the same thing. You haven't been behind the chair. You can't coach stylists. Okay. Stacy Sobel gives me an opportunity at Data Driven during the pandemic. So it's when Data Driven usually would have been in May. They had the delayed Data Driven Salon Today 200, and it was in Chicago combined with ABS. So I don't know if you were there, but it was like a combined scenario. I was on stage with Rowena Yeager. We were doing a presentation about salon roots, and her salon were deskless salons, so no front desk.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember this.
We had the guitar. We did the air guitar on stage. It was great. I am walking off stage. John Palmieri and Brian Perdue, the founders of 124Go, were in the audience, and they grabbed my arm, and they're like, hey, can we talk to you in the hallway? And me being maybe a little egotistical, I'm like, I'm going to break your heart. I'm not behind the chair. Because at this point, I had it in my head, like, this wasn't really going to happen, right? And John grabbed my arm, and he's like, we don't care. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, refreshing.
Yeah. And so basically from there, we dated for a while. I got to know the company. They brought me down to Atlanta. I went through coach training. I went through John Maxwell training. All of our coaches within 124Go are all John Maxwell certified. And we've been happily ever after for 6.5 years. And so it's been fantastic ever since. Yeah. And so when we do the 4-day intensive, I speak, my big presentation day is on day 3. And that's usually like my little secret that gets a lot of claps and gets a lot of like, oh my God, we never knew you were never behind the chair. You know so much. And you're like, when you're in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You get it, right? And
yes.
Business is business, right? And you'd be impressed with what I know about a 5N and a 6N and a 7N and what could make a 6, and 10, 20, 30. I mean, I can talk the talk and probably hold my own, right? With some certain situations, but never been. And so here we are today. And so 124Go is based out of Grayson, Georgia. There is 9 of us now throughout the country. Salon and spa business coaching and consulting.
I love that. Now, okay. Myself as a certified coach internationally.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about too with everybody too?
Everybody is John Maxwell certified. Yeah. Everyone is John Maxwell coaching consulting certified.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I love hearing, and I feel like it's very important that everybody listening and watching to this episode, that they see that non-cosmetologists, people who did not grow up in this industry, that they don't really know anything about it until they put in the effort like you. I feel like it's very important that people see that this industry is what you make of it.
100%.
Right. And that is what you have done and are doing. That's what I have done and am doing. Yeah. And it's one of those things that's probably not talked about, which is fine because we are an industry that people need to be, trained and working with people who do work behind the chair. That's fine. But then you find people like us and they're like, whoa, no kidding.
Yeah.
So now tell everybody what 124 Go is. I think you did, but like where do you guys, when and where and who is it for and all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So 124 Go is a team of business coaches and consultants. So we do one-to-one business coaching. That's one of our main products. And we do 3 to 4 times a year, we do something called the 4-day intensive. And that is our like core baby, right?
Yeah.
We were doing them. Our home base for a while was in Atlanta at the Kuhn Academy. Kuhn is a huge supporter of ours. And when the particular academy, their lease was up, we needed a new home. And we went on the road for a little while. We did it in St. Louis. We did it in Arizona, trying to catch like all the parts of the US. We did it at the PBA headquarters in Scottsdale when they still had the headquarters. And then the Penzones, so Debbie and Chuck Penzone created Base 1, which
I love them.
Next level. They're amazing. And it's only an hour and a half from my house. And so our new home base for the 4-day has become Base 1 in Columbus. And so that is 4 days of a deep dive of finances, culture, leadership, marketing, and recruiting. And we partner up with Steph Fox. She's our special guest with the 4-day. And we touch on all things not wide, deep. So think of, most leave the 4-day and they're like, no one ever broke down a P&L like that for me before. Like I actually don't just put it in my drawer anymore. No one broke down the why of servant leadership like that for me before. No one tapped into the business side of beauty to make this simple for me. Because and I think this, most owners, leaders, managers in beauty don't lack knowledge. They lack bandwidth to be able to utilize that knowledge. And where do they find that capacity, right? Like and nobody went to beauty school thinking that they had to learn how to lead. Right. I even think about my own upbringings and roots, right?
Yeah.
They have 28 stylists currently now. They just moved into 10,000 square feet. So they went from 800 square feet to 1,500 square feet to 10,000 square feet. And both salons are housed in the same building that they purchased, separate entrances. So they're very much separate. But even then, in their early stages, they attracted high quality stylists that wanted to just be with them, that just wanted to work for them, right? And then you start growing up, and then I call them big girl problems. Then we have big girl problems. Are we making payroll? Are you making any money? Do you want to be behind the chair forever, right? Where do those things come from? And so that's where 124 Go is our probably our sweet spot. Is anywhere from $1 to $5 million in revenue in gross sales. But we have a lot of, 5 to 11 chair salons, you know what I mean? Or 5 to 11, team members that, growth at that smaller level, a little bit easier. Growth, measurable growth at 3.5 to 5 million, a little bit smaller, bigger bottom line, but you get it.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my question now, is that from your background, not, you kind of fell into the beauty world, right? What is it that you have learned, like the life lesson that you have learned being in this industry that you wish, people in the other industries that you've encountered would just understand, that they would get so that they could be better?
Yeah. And I don't know if this is going to be the exact answer to your question, but I firmly believe that beauty saves lives. And I know that if you're familiar with John Maxwell, but John Maxwell says that we look to multiply value in those that multiply values in others, right? So we look to add value to those that are then going to take that and make a positive stretch on it. I myself, I don't ever feel like a day is ever work. And not many people can actually say that and mean it. right? Like I said for a really long time, I would freaking do this for free. Like I love in salons. Like I love in salon retreats and they like light me up. And you're like, this is awesome that I get paid. I traveled the country. I've been to places. I've been to Walla Walla, Washington. I've been to Omaha, Nebraska. I've been to Des Moines, Iowa, like places that you're not like, I'm going on vacation to Des Moines, right?
Right.
And I have met the most wonderful people that we have creative friendships with and business relationships with. And that to me, one is priceless, one. And two, you know, beauty, there is so much opportunity in beauty. You know, like I, for example, when I hear, you know, I do this vision exercise with the Roots girls, and it's a folder exercise. We do it at the 4-day. And 3 years ago, 3 of the girls sat at my kitchen table and cried while they were doing it. And I heard, my boyfriend thinks nails are stupid. My mom says that I'll never be successful in life. I'll never own a home. I'll never be able to get married because I chose hair. I should go be a dental hygienist or go be a nurse or go be, you know, something else. Nothing lights me up more than hearing that shit, right? Like you become my personal mission to be like, you know, like I'm going to make you successful because
I get chills. I have chills right now.
Yeah. I make it my personal mission because that is so untrue. And beauty is so misrepresented in that way. You know, Roots right now has 4, 5, 6-figure hairdressers, not gross sale 6-figure hairdressers. They have some 6-figure hairdressers, meaning that's what they're taking home. Some of them only work 24 hours a week. They work 2 days. They're jamming. You know what I mean? Like, now granted, they've been doing hair for 23, 25, and 26 years, right? And so that didn't happen overnight. But that is the kind of opportunity that we look to create, right? And I hate when you hear, we have to marry an electrician. I'm going to have to marry somebody in the trades that's better than me. And you're like, you can do this all on your own if you want to. If you want to, you know, and what we find in coaching is we could talk strategy all day. I can have a million ideas with you. You know, we coach a S ton of salons and we get ideas, we give ideas. It's like an in and out. But if you can't be disciplined to do the thing, it doesn't matter. If you can't be disciplined to carry it out, that's where coaching is more accountability than it is strategizing, you know, planning. I could teach you a cash flow plan. I could teach you how to read your P&L. I could teach you how to create a break-even point. But if you're not going to follow through on it and no one's going to push you to do that, it doesn't really matter. You know, it doesn't really matter.
Okay, so what's the secret to success?
Oh, geez. I mean, for myself and with those I'm associated with, consistency. Consistency and the willingness to show up when stuff gets hard. Consistency to show up when there's nothing in it for you. Consistency to show up when you don't feel good that day. You know, because your best, your 100% can be different for me every day, as long as that was your best version of yourself that day. Because we do have days where you're like, I got here late from the gym. My kid is sick. I spilled my coffee. Whatever. Right?
That's so funny that you use that example. I spilled my coffee. Today's going to suck. Like, hello, here's my coffee right here.
and our version of ourselves is a little bit different. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different for those days. And as long as you can be consistent, because even when you, like, I'll use social media as an example. Salons will be like, we hate it. We don't identify with it. We just don't want to do it. And it's not because they don't have beautiful work. It's not because they don't have a story. They haven't switched the switch in their brain to say, this needs to become a part of who we are. And this needs to become part of our why. And then it becomes a little bit more natural around it. And the consistency then isn't so hard. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
you know, because when you look at it and you're like, I'm disconnected, I'm distracted, everyone does it. Every salon has their own secret sauce of whatever that is, right? It's like, you have to find it. You know, I teach an exercise at on sites for those that are interested in marketing. It's called the Miss Jackson exercise. and you create a client avatar. And it's like when you know who you're speaking to, it changes, right?
Yeah.
It changes. It doesn't have to be boring backs of heads that everyone, that's why you're over it, right? It's boring. You know, if you focus more on who you are and why you do what you do, people buy from people.
Yes.
You know?
Thank you. Yes.
People buy from people. And if they don't know who you are and why you do it, 15 backs of heads doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
15 backs of heads doesn't matter anyway.
Okay. What has been, I think I might know, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
What has been your biggest, most favorite insult that you have ever gotten that is just your driver now at this point?
You can't do this because you've never been behind the chair. 100%.
Yeah, figured.
100%, you know, and there are, you know, and it's funny because I heard that for 4.5 years and I never let it shut me down. I kept thinking, nah, like even at some point my husband would be like, you're crazy. Like clearly this isn't going to work. Right. And now it's like, I can honestly say that I'm living out a dream. You know, there isn't a time where I don't hop on an airplane, which is a lot. I'm not thinking about that time and how grateful I am that now I get to be a part of this, that I take it very seriously. Does that make sense? Like I take my why and I want to leave everyone I meet better than I found them. If it's a simple interaction at Premiere, if it's an interaction this afternoon at my salon, you know, I want to leave everybody a little bit smarter, a little bit kinder, a little bit more courageous, a little bit less afraid than I initially found them. You know, I can talk beauty business with anybody for hours.
Yeah.
And not be bored. You know, you want to talk retention, I can talk retention. You want to talk productivity, I can talk productivity. You want to talk software, I can talk software. You know, like I can talk all day long about those things. But at the end, I think that there is a lot of influencers, and I'm sure you've run into them as well, that are louder versus deeper. You know, and just because you're the loudest voice in the room doesn't necessarily mean you're the voice that everyone should be listening to.
Right.
You know, and so in beauty, that's hard because there's a lot of really loud voices, you know.
So it's true. But those people that were telling you, no, have you run into them again? Have you shown them?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yes?
Yeah.
Like what, how did that go? How did that go? Spill the tea, girl.
You know, for me, it's a silent successor because for some of them, it's like, oh, we knew you had it in you. You're like, really? Because you didn't really have to give me a shot for that. Some have said, you know, the industry's changed so much. We now employ non-stylists too, you know, and you're like, oh, that's funny. You know what I mean? Like now you're like current with the times. And for a while, I was convincing myself, right? Like, well, maybe you can't. And I'm like, no, yes, you can. Because I see some of this interaction with one that Roots was working with at the time. She walked in with the Excel spreadsheet. There was no coaching that was happening. It was delivery of analytics, right? And I'm like, well, shit, if that's what it is, I can for sure do that, right? And then you get John Maxwell certified, and then you get mentorship certified, and then you know you get all these other true coaching certifications, and you're like, oh, that was not coaching. This is coaching. And I do think that, you know, one of the things that does set 124 Go apart from a lot of others is we still believe in the one-to-one, meaning everyone wants to make more with less. Let's put 50 people on a Zoom. Let's put 100 people on a Zoom. Let's just record all the sessions and you do it on your own time. Studies show that like 60% of those people never go past 35% of completion of videos, right? So if like you're like learn on your own, they never finish it, right? Yeah. Why don't they finish it? Because they're not having somebody hold them accountable. It's not lack of knowledge. It's not lack of amount of information that you can learn. It's out there. ChatGPT, Claude, you could read basically whatever you want. If that was the secret sauce, then we wouldn't exist. But that's not the secret sauce. That's not the secret sauce. It's who's holding your hand, who's in the trenches. I currently have over 20 coaching clients. I have 21 to be exact. I talk to all of them every week. And we're not meeting every week, but I'm checking in. How are we doing on this? A relationship is built. Right. That at any given time, I could very much walk into their salon and pick up like I worked there. Because I'm that in touch with them. And I feel like that's not just me, that's 124 Go. Right. That's how we harness relationship building. How we harness relationship building.
So then, okay, so 124 Go is totally separate from the marketing lab that you were with at Premier.
Correct. So the marketing lab is Lucas Renfro, who owns Salon.marketing, and that's a website marketing company for the beauty space. And so for the past 2 years, we've been partnered with Lucas and been one of his educators, and had a really great time there this year. We basically this year we taught on retention being your new marketing. Everyone's always trying, what's next, what's new, and you're like, if you focus on drilling for oil in your own backyard, you wouldn't have to be so hungry for the new clients. We want them, we need them. So that was 124 Go's focus in that room, but he had a variety of educators in the marketing lab.
Okay.
He had Chet Namber Pope. I don't know if you know Chet Namber Pope from Salon 27 in Arizona. They're a big Paul Mitchell salon. They do a lot of business educating. But he had a variety of owners, coaches, etc. in the lab, and we're thrilled to be a part of it next year.
So with all of these clients that you have, that you working with, that you're traveling all over the world, country, maybe the world too, I don't know.
I'd love to go international.
So what do you feel the industry will be like in 5 years?
I'm going to go backwards and I'm going to go forwards.
Yeah.
Pre and post COVID, we saw a lot of the industry go independent. And, roots and ends, we have 11 studio suites. Like, we believe that true beauty industry, there's a need for both. You have to be able to have both, because truly, even if you're a commissioned salon, you are still running a business in a business. Right. And that's how we coach you at Roots, right? Like that's your 5x5 stage. You make of it what you want to make of it. We had a big influx right after COVID. We saw suites all over the country popping up, and the independents really thriving. Now, 6 years post, we see some of this all across the country. We see a little bit of a swing happening now, where independents are a little lonely, felt like they didn't get themselves into enough education, maybe aren't making as much money as they thought they would as an independent.
Yeah.
And we see this influx back to the commission-like environment, or the interest in the commission-like environment, right? And in 5 years from now, I'm going to say it probably shifts again, and because I always feel like it's ebbs and flows, and it's just being able to accommodate, 124 Go doesn't coach many independents, but I have coached independents that have come to us and said, I want to open a salon. Right. And so it's been from suite to small salon to now, bigger salon type deal. But we do something called the Income Accelerator. And we do that through some distributors. It's a 1-day event for independents. And what we really find with them is they leave with a vast knowledge of financial literacy that they didn't have before, because no one really broke down their percentage of rent to their total sales, So many people also think, though, that the exodus to rental is financial based. It's usually freedom based. It's usually life based. Like, my kid plays soccer. I can't work Saturdays for you anymore. You know what I mean? Or I have kids now. I can't work nights for you anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's usually more of the shift. The money piece is there, and I think it always is, but that's never usually the root of why somebody departs anyways, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think in 5 years from now, I do think that AI continues to play a role. That's a little frightening because of what the pictures we see and things that are made to look like you can have it in a second truly can't happen that way, you know? And so I think it could be interesting. I think it could be interesting, very interesting.
I do. I believe that it's gonna. I mean, maybe it's a pendulum, you know, and it's just always every 5 years it's gonna go back and forth, you know. But that's really interesting from your perspective. So that's cool. Yeah. What's been your biggest struggle? Your failure, personal, professional?
Oh, you know, I think that. Yeah, I mean, this is going to go way back. I had a full college scholarship to college and blew it, you know, and I say many times, like, if I knew then what I know now, shit, you know, like you would never put somebody down that path, you know, and I basically was going to school, and I don't know if you're familiar, but I was working in the mortgage industry. That's actually how I got into marketing during the mortgage boom. And I was making, when I was 19 years old, my dad was an executive at a major manufacturing company here. And at 19 and 20 years old, my W-2 was bigger than his.
Oh, shit.
And I bought a house at 21. Okay.
Damn, girl.
And so going to school, was nah, why would I do that? I wanted to be a teacher. Like that, I was going to school to be a teacher and to coach sports. Now it's funny how life comes full circle, and now I'm coaching and educating. So obviously there's like an inner gift, right?
Yeah.
But that would definitely, you're like, dang it, I would never advise anyone to ever do that. You know, that path was definitely the path less traveled. You know, my mom and dad kicked me out at 19. They were like, you either go to school or you're out. Because my older brother was a West Point grad. Like, that was just what you did. Like, you went to school, you did the thing.
Right.
What do you mean you're not going to finish? And you're like, I'm just not going to go anymore.
He jumped all the steps, Mom and Dad.
I'm just not going to do that. But here is what that taught me. And by the way, I had a U-Haul in the driveway the next day. And I was like, all right, I'm out. Like, I'm not going to school. Like, you're not making me go to school. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. U-Haul in the driveway, never looked back. Rented a duplex with some friends. Had a great time. Never asked for a penny. Okay? Nice. But here is what that also taught me. I was not going to fail. Like, I will outwork anybody if my back is against the wall. You know, so if you're like, where did some of that, I'll figure it out. I'll figure it out if I have to. You know what I mean? Like, I will do the thing. You know, those were during the times where in the mortgage company, they handed you phone books. And they were like, smile and dial, right? Like, there was no computer lead generation system. There was no this, that. It was like, here's the phone books. Go for it. Oh, and by the way, in 90 days, you're 100% commission. And you're like, wait, what? Like, so basically, if I don't sell, I don't get paid. And it was life-changing for me, but in all the good ways, right? Yeah. Like, you learn. You gotta
hustle.
You're going to figure it out. And I still credit my first boss in that industry was there's probably many leadership books written about him as to what a terrible leader he was, right? Like, he was verbally abusive. He would throw pens at me. Like, if I had a crappy week, he would make me come in on Saturday and he would say, you wasted my time, so I'm going to waste your time. And we would sit at a boardroom table and just look at each other, right? Mind you, I'm like 21, 22 years old, and you're like, is this what real life is? Like, this is life? But I look back and I'm like, not only did he teach me how not to be in leadership, right? Okay. But there were so many other life lessons learned on that that I still carry with me, you know, and, you know, and not wasting people's time is definitely one of them. I try to make sure that, I'm coaching, that you leave that 1 hour call and you know exactly what's coming next. You know what I mean? That you're like, whatever this is now better. You know what I mean? Or now I know how to fix it, or now I have the action steps around that to fix it. And so, because I spent many Saturdays as an adult sitting in a boardroom looking at you for 4 hours because I wasted your time, so you're wasting my time, you don't forget stuff like that, right? Like those are like, nails in a tree that you're like, shit, like that scar's there. But then how do you turn that to a positive, right? How do you turn that to be a learning lesson going forward?
Oh, man. Okay. So with everything that we've talked about so far, how can people listening and watching, how can they work with you directly? Like, how do they get in contact with you? How did they sign up? Like, how do they?
Yep. Yeah. So you can follow me on Instagram. It's Jen_LeBlanc_Ohio. You can give 124Go a follow on Insta, which is 124.go. And you can visit us online at 124go.com.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to have those links at the bottom of the show notes and all around. So everybody go to those links. And before we wrap up, I want to ask, what is one question that you wish I would have asked you, and how would you have answered?
Ooh. Who do you know that I should know that I don't know, and why?
Okay. How would you have answered?
Yeah, so that's a John Maxwell icebreaker. That's a John Maxwell icebreaker. That's like, I don't know if you know anything about John Maxwell, but he has a whole table talk series, which is like how when you go to dinner with, either colleagues or business professionals, like how to keep a conversation going that's not surfacing. Right?
Love.
So, some of the questions are like, what's your favorite ice cream? Or if you could be anywhere in the world right now, where would you be? My favorite is, who do you know that I don't know that I should know? And I always answer that question with my grandfather, who has passed 20 plus years ago, but he was my genes and beauty go back even before I was born. He was one of the first patent holders of the bobby pin.
Stop it right now.
It was called, at the time, it's more like a cutting clip was his design. Okay. So think about the cutting claw. You can visualize it. So my grandmother had hair down to her waist, and she couldn't ever blow dry it all herself. Right. And so he would help blow dry her hair. And now this is back, this had to be the 50s. Okay.
50s.
Would start to partition her hair off for smaller sections, and was like, wow, if I could create something that could hold the hair. Right. And so it was called the Bissler bobby pin. Procter and Gamble actually beat him to the patent. And at the time, the patent sold for $2,300. And that was a S ton of money back then. Right. But I still have the patent paperwork. I have the drawings. And so I always say my grandfather, because I'm like, if he knew what I was doing now, I think it would be awesome.
He would be so happy.
He'd be so proud. He was a car salesman. They own car dealerships. And there was many articles that were written about him in the newspaper, because he was the car dealer that personalized your experience. He delivered the car to your house. He was known to rearrange your garage so that your new car could fit in the garage. And so they sold Oldsmobiles. So I don't know if you're familiar, but that goes like way back. And so I think a lot of my business acumen and customer service and things like that, like he was one of Cleveland Magazine's 50 most interesting people year after year after year, because of how he serviced his industry. Now you go to buy a car, no one gives a shit about you.
Carvana, hello.
Yeah, like you're like not even talking to anybody anymore, right? And so he had a very personalized individual experience, and I think a lot of that is still in me today.
That is so cool. I love hearing stories like that, because like the seed has been planted so deep, it just took a couple generations for it to germinate, you know?
Just a couple. Yeah.
But I love that.
Yeah, you're so
Damn.
right. This has been a pleasure. You're a ton of fun.
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. It's the coffee. Anyway. All right, you guys. So that's a wrap for today. Make sure you go follow Jen. Make sure you go follow 124Go. All the things, like, get in touch. All right. So that's a wrap, and we'll talk to you next week.